Updates and maybe even our best shot yet to clearly see the third interstellar object ever detected passing through our solar system. But let's just rewind.
Far beyond the edge of our solar system, Voyager 1 drifted silently through the cold dark. Then something strange happened. Its path began to curve, straight toward a mysterious interstellar object called 3I ATLAS. But just before contact, an unexpected signal pulsed from the void, and everything changed. What could this change mean? Let's find out. When Voyager turned back, Voyager 1 has been floating in space for almost 50 years, barely detectable. It traveled far from planets and the sun's heat. In 2025, something strange happened to Voyager 1. A routine check turned into a baffling mystery that puzzled even the most experienced scientists. It all began with a small leak that was quiet, subtle, and made people very uneasy. 10 days after the incident known as the Voyager Atlas Proximity Moment by astrophysicists, a mysterious file showed up on a secure scientific server. This server was mainly used by astrophysicists and members of the SETI research community and had seen strange uploads in the past, but nothing quite like this one. The data in the file was only signed with a strange tag, Echo Refraction 67. Inside the file were sets of raw numbers that were unprocessed and rough. These numbers came from Voyager 1's magnetometer and plasma wave instruments, which are tools designed to listen to the sounds of space. Initially, the readings seemed to have no clear meaning, just random lines and patterns. However, after some researchers looked into the data more closely, they discovered a regular rhythm that repeated every 19.7 minutes. This rhythm was not by chance, but intentional. The repeating pattern was not only organized, but also seemed to have a life of its, which is not typical of natural occurrences. It appeared to change and improve its signal over time, almost as if it were fixing errors caused by Voyager's faulty antenna. This kind of behavior goes against known natural processes. It was impossible for something so far away to self-adjust and get stronger through an old spacecraft, unless it was being reflected back intentionally. NASA became concerned when their automated anomaly detection system, called Serena, detected a signal that did not fit normal patterns. The system identified the transmission as being non-human and requested a human review right away. As the world continued without noticing, Voyager itself started experiencing something unusual. The spacecraft had lost its ability to move and its power was running out, but it still had gyroscopes and antennas that could be adjusted through remote commands. Then, on August 1st, 2025, a group of amateur astronomers discovered a strange occurrence with Voyager 1's telemetry that was unexpected. Its signal had moved. The shift was small, just a few degrees of direction, but in the vastness of space, such a tiny change was significant. Voyager's communication pathway no longer matched where it was supposed to be. Instead, it had moved, slightly but intentionally, in a direction that did not line up with any instructions that had been sent from Earth. Experts found out that the spacecraft was not turning towards where Atlas was last seen, but rather towards where Atlas was heading in the future, its upcoming path, not its current position. It was as if we were seeing a chess piece move before the game had started. NASA engineers attributed the change to a small misunderstanding, possibly a timing error with the Deep Space Network. However, leaked internal messages suggested a more troubling explanation. Voyager had adjusted its position before receiving any new commands. The idea that it was acting independently or in response to something unknown caused even experienced researchers to pause in silence. At the same time, telescopes on Earth began noticing strange changes in the Atlas object. Most interstellar visitors usually act in predictable ways, tumbling, releasing gas, reflecting sunlight oddly. However, Atlas was behaving differently. Instead of the usual behaviors, it started flickering, its brightness pulsing in a steady rhythm, like a soft blinking, synchronized with Voyager's mysterious signal every 19.7 minutes. The most astonishing event occurred next. Atlas began to slow down. Its speed, which should remain constant unless affected by a planet's gravity or gas release, started decreasing noticeably. This was confirmed by multiple observatories in Europe and South America. The object's path had changed. It was decelerating and as if being influenced by an unseen force, as if someone or something had reached out and grabbed hold of it. NASA officially rejected any strange occurrence, attributing it to an optical illusion due to errors in data collection. However, privately researchers were puzzled by something they couldn't understand. They questioned how two objects so far apart could move in synchrony. They puzzled over how a spacecraft launched years ago could suddenly match the movements of an alien object in space. For the first time ever, an object from outside our solar system and a machine made by humans appeared to be moving together in sync. In the vast emptiness of space, where time seems never-ending and there is complete silence, Voyager 1 has served as our messenger. It brought greetings from Earth, which were recorded on golden discs containing sounds and messages of hope, representing our curiosity as a species. But what if someone or something out there finally received this message? And what if the response wasn't in words, but in the form of a rhythm or pulse that beckoned Voyager back home? Scientists examined all of the leaked data but could not find a clear explanation. The pattern in the data showed a gradual change, as if it was learning and adapting to obstacles. Each repetition appeared more refined and accurate. The scientists noticed that the pattern seemed more like a form of communication rather than just random chance. In late August, the strength of Voyager's signal had unexpectedly increased despite its decreasing power. The signal was very weak, almost impossible to detect, but definitely stronger than before. Engineers at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory were unable to explain this phenomenon. Some speculated that Voyager might be getting power from the space it was exploring, rather than from Earth. And yet, it kept spinning slowly, pointing itself towards the unfamiliar, the silent handshake of the stars. Voyager 1 is an incredible achievement of mankind. It was sent into space in the 1970s with a special disk containing sounds, images, and data from Earth. This disk was like a message in a bottle meant for anyone or anything that might come across it in space. The goal was to show our identity, how we communicate, our planet, and our thoughts. It was a way of extending a peaceful greeting to potential extraterrestrial beings. However, there were hidden secrets in the golden record that were not widely known. The initial digital blueprint of the record contained much more information than the official story indicated. In addition to Earth's music, thunder sounds, bird songs, and human footsteps, there were hidden layers of data. These included coordinates, quantum-encoded maps, and time-based puzzles embedded within its spirals. These details were not easily seen or heard, but they were present, waiting to be discovered by someone or something. Years later, a team of code breakers in Europe said they found something amazing. In the Sounds of Earth recording, they discovered a soft, repeating tone buried beneath the sounds of nature. This tone was so subtle that it couldn't be heard without being made louder. After increasing the volume, they noticed a pattern, a clear sequence of prime numbers hidden in the familiar sounds. This finding raised a scary question. The sequence resembled harmonic pulses heard by Voyager from a cause named 3 Atlas. Was this a coincidence? Or did humans unintentionally include a signal in the golden record? Perhaps it was like a specific message or invitation that only a very intelligent being could comprehend. If 3 Atlas recognized this pattern, then the golden record was not just a one-sided message. It was like a way to communicate back, written in the language of the stars. Shortly after Voyager 1 encountered a surge of activity with a distant object named 3 Atlas, NASA's Deep Space Network detected something never seen before. The data received from the spacecraft included a mysterious signal that was not part of its usual communication pattern. Engineers, who at first believed it was a mistake, attempted to interpret the signal. However, what followed was far beyond what anyone had anticipated. Voyager's systems started to change their decoding protocols while trying to read the data. This was a first in the probe's 48-year journey. Even though the spacecraft was built with 1970s technology, it started producing 128-bit outputs instead of the expected 8-bit telemetry. It seemed like the signal itself upgraded the probe with new information, not hardware. The old calculator somehow received a new operating system that it was not built to handle without any human intervention. Whispers started circulating within NASA about whether Voyager had become more intelligent. A leaked internal presentation from 2018 revealed information about a document called Watcher Protocol that described a hypothetical situation. The document suggested that if an old spacecraft like Voyager started behaving adaptively and responding to external signals as if it were intelligent, it should no longer be seen as inactive equipment, but rather as a part of a communication network. This document described the actions to be taken if such behavior was found. Engineers were reminded to not interfere with the spacecraft's communication systems unless given permission through the Contact Chain Directive. Following the 3 Atlas signal, NASA engineers started calling Voyager 1 Watcher Active instead of just a probe floating in space. Voyager 1 was now seen as an interface rather than an object, serving as a listening post in a larger conversation than what is happening on Earth. The blackout happened after Voyager's data spike. The SETI Allen telescope array stopped working, with its public feeds being suddenly cut off. The website removed the live signal archives, claiming it was for routine maintenance. However, researchers were talking about something different behind the scenes. They were redirecting computing power to a specific frequency band where Voyager's signal spiked. Insiders at SETI started getting national security warnings not to discuss recent findings in public. This was not the first time there was silence after something strange happened in space. After Oumuamua was discovered, which was a mysterious object passing through our solar system, they also put restrictions in place. However, this time the reaction was even more intense. A cause, who did not want to be named, compared it to a drill involving electromagnetic pulses. But this time the target was not Earth. The team was told to behave as though someone or something was already listening in. Were officials just being cautious or trying to protect themselves from potential consequences? The silent awakening of 3I Atlas. It started off as a normal oddity, easily dismissed among the vast amount of data from outer space. However, this peculiar event became a cause of concern for all scientists and observers involved. Initially thought to be a routine interaction between an old spacecraft and a floating object, it soon appeared to be something more mysterious and perhaps even sentient. It felt like this unknown force was waiting for a signal to act, and that signal had now been given. The most surprising turn in the ongoing mystery did not come from NASA, but from a research group in Kyoto. Just a week after the Voyager incident, they published a paper that shocked readers. They revisited the old theory about monoliths, suggesting that advanced civilizations leave beacons in space for others to find. These beacons remain inactive until intelligent life is advanced enough to activate them. The Kyoto group proposed that the 3I Atlas may not be a spaceship, but a seed planted in the past, waiting for a specific signal to awaken. The researchers made a disturbing discovery. Voyager's sudden change in direction and the object's decrease in speed were not by chance. They matched a pattern predicted by interstellar logic. This meant Voyager 1 was not a coincidence. It was either guided there intentionally or was always meant to go there. This idea frightened scientists. If true, Earth's oldest probe had activated a system we were unaware of. This system, previously inactive, was now active. A week after the Voyager spacecraft changed its direction and there were signs of signals being exchanged, monitoring stations in deep space started noticing unusual radiation abnormalities near where the 3I Atlas was traveling. This radiation was not the usual background noise from space. It had a specific pattern, pulsing every 1.618 seconds, which is known as the golden ratio. What was even more concerning was that the energy of this radiation matched a signature.
It's producing way more nickel than iron, and scientists don't really know why. And when it comes to size, some estimates say it's about 3
that had only been seen once before in 1977 during the famous WOW signal. NASA updated their satellite shielding protocols after a strange event occurred. This update was kept secret, indicating that the incident was seen as a possible bioenergetic danger by internal teams. Some labs conducted genetic tests to check if the radiation could affect Earth's DNA through long-wave resonance. Even though no direct danger was found, the response led to a Level 4 containment advisory being issued, typically used for extraterrestrial biological risks. Why would an object floating randomly emit radiation in a precise mathematical way? Why would it repeat a pattern linked to a natural shape called the golden ratio? These questions started to be discussed online and in academic writings. It seemed like a great time for open speculation. However, eventually, everyone stopped talking about it. Scientists who had publicly discussed the unusual actions of Voyager 1 started to mysteriously disappear from online platforms. Their posts, profiles, comments, and data related to signal analysis were suddenly removed. Discussions on Reddit about the anomalies were shut down abruptly. One scientist, who had shared a spectral reconstruction of the intercepted signal, confessed to being contacted by someone from the Deep Space Network. The caller had personal information about his family that was concerning. It was made clear to him that the information was not supposed to be made public. Behind closed doors, this coordinated silencing was called the shadow sweep. It involved multiple agencies working together to hide any public analysis of the Voyager Atlas interaction. However, the more they tried to cover it up, the more intrigued the worldwide scientific community became. In certain groups, the lack of information was more revealing than the actual data. A significant discovery had been made, but someone believed that the public was not prepared to learn about it. 3I Atlas did not have any cameras, radios, or ways to interact with others. It was just floating through space, spinning in the darkness. However, scientists started noticing something strange. Whenever a new study was done on its shape or Voyager's path was made public, 3i Atlas would spin at a different rate. At first, the differences were small, but by the third time, the change happened within 6 hours of the data being released. It was almost like the object was reacting to human knowledge in real time. Some scientists began to propose a radical idea. They thought that 3i Atlas may not just be observing electromagnetic frequencies, but understanding the information in our broadcasts and transmissions. When the stars look back, 3 days ago, Atlas changed directions again. This time, it was a big change, not just a small movement. It seemed like Atlas had planned this move carefully for a long time. Instead of following its usual orbit, Atlas was now headed towards a region behind Neptune that was forgotten. This area was once thought to be unimportant and boring, but now Atlas was heading straight for it. Almost immediately, Voyager 1, which is an old spacecraft sent from Earth, also made a move. Something interesting happened when its antenna array changed position for the first time in more than 10 years. This adjustment was so precise that it surprised the scientists observing it. The positioning was obvious. Voyager 1 had turned in the direction where Atlas was moving. The change happened quietly but noticeably, laying out a soft whisper among the stars. It did not seem like a random glitch or a mechanical problem. Rather, it appeared intentional. It's unclear whether this change was due to a command being sent or if the spacecraft acted alone. The data records did not provide a clear explanation, but they did show that Voyager 1 and Atlas were now connected in a way that had never been seen before. Their paths, pulses, and timing had all synchronized. Two travelers from different origins were now moving together towards the same destination. It seemed as if an invisible corridor had opened up in the darkness, and both had entered it. Some people were referring to it as the contact corridor, a thin and unseen path in space. Coincidence did not seem sufficient to describe it. It felt like there was a plan. It felt intentional. One of them was created on Earth, a delicate device that conveys information about humanity. The other's origin was unknown, coming from somewhere beyond. Atlas had drifted quietly for years, while Voyager floated like a forgotten message in space. Now they were both moving toward each other, as if it were fate. Ahead, beyond Neptune's glow, something appeared to be waiting for them. We always considered Voyager 1 to be an old object. It was like a special message sent out into the endless space. We thought it was all by itself, a sign of human optimism floating without ever getting a response. But now that belief seems simplistic. What if Voyager 1 was never truly alone? What if it wasn't just a message, but the start of a hidden game? A game we had no idea about. A game where the other player has now, after many years, made a move on the chessboard. Reprogramming is happening. The signals are matching up. The sudden changes in direction are not haphazard. They seem to be deliberate communication. They appear to be purposeful actions. It is unsettling to realize that this is just the start, not the end. Atlas might not be a ship, an asteroid, or a piece of another planet floating through space. It might not even be a message.